This is the story of 5 college friends who went on a spring break trip to a remote cabin in the woods. I am going to tell you what happened to them, and trust me, this is something you won't forget. So, it all started when Jake, Lisa, Mark, Emily, and Ben decided to do something different for their spring break. Instead of the usual beach parties, they wanted an adventure. They found this old cabin deep in the mountains, far away from the city. It was cheap to rent, and the photos made it look cozy. The owner, an old man named Mr. Peterson, warned them that the area had a history. Strange disappearances, eerie sounds at night, but they laughed it off. They were young, fearless, and excited. The first day was amazing. They hiked, swam in a nearby lake, and sat around a bonfire, telling ghost stories and drinking. The night was calm, except for the occasional rustling in the trees. But in a forest, that's normal, right? Maybe just the wind or some animal. Things started to change the next night. Lisa was the first to notice something weird. She woke up thirsty in the middle of the night and went to the kitchen for water. While filling her glass, she glanced out of the window and froze. There was something standing at the edge of the trees, a tall, shadowy figure. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, just stood there, watching. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. She rubbed her eyes and looked again, but it was gone. Thinking she was just imagining things, she hurried back to bed, but sleep didn't come easy. The next morning, Lisa told the others, but they laughed it off. "You probably dreamed it," Ben said, chuckling. "Or maybe it was a deer," Mark added. Lisa tried to shake off the feeling, but something felt wrong. Later that day, while hiking, they found something unsettling, an old abandoned tent deep in the woods. It looked like it had been there for years, torn fabric, rusted cooking pots, and a backpack covered in moss. Inside the bag, they found a wallet. The ID belonged to a guy named David Carter. The date on it? From 10 years ago. "This is creepy," Emily said, shivering. "Maybe he just left and forgot his stuff?" Mark suggested. Jake shook his head. "Who leaves their wallet behind?" A heavy silence fell over them. They decided to head back. As they walked, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Every few minutes, they felt like something was behind them, hiding between the trees. But when they turned around, there was nothing. That night, things got worse. Around midnight, Emily woke up to a sound, a faint scratching at the window. She sat up, her heart pounding. The scratching stopped. She told herself it was just a tree branch moving in the wind. But then she heard it again, slow, deliberate, like someone was dragging their fingernails against the glass. She wanted to wake the others, but she was frozen in fear. Summoning courage, she grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight, shining it towards the window. Nothing. Just darkness outside. But then, she saw it. A handprint on the outside of the glass. A large, muddy handprint that wasn't there before. Emily let out a scream, waking everyone. They rushed to her room, and she pointed at the window. Jake grabbed a baseball bat and ran outside, but no one was there. The ground was wet from rain earlier, yet there were no footprints leading to or away from the window. Fear crept into all of them now. "We need to leave," Lisa whispered. "We'll go first thing in the morning," Jake said, trying to stay calm. But the night wasn't over. At around 3 a.m., Mark, who was sleeping in the living room, woke up to a creaking sound. The front door was slightly open. He was sure they had locked it. His heart pounded. He sat up, reaching for his flashlight. The room was silent, except for his own breathing. Then, just as he was about to get up, he heard something. A whisper. Right next to his ear. "Leave." Mark screamed and jumped up, waking everyone again. They checked the door. It was locked now. But how? It was open just moments ago. At this point, no one wanted to stay another second. At dawn, they packed up and rushed to the car. But as they started driving, something felt off. The road they came from was gone. "I swear we came from this way," Jake said, gripping the wheel tightly. But now, all they saw were endless trees. Every turn led them back to the same place, the cabin. Panic set in. They had no signal, no way to call for help. The GPS showed them in the middle of nowhere, and then they saw it. Standing in the middle of the road, a tall figure covered in shadows, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. No eyes, no face, just darkness where a face should be. Jake slammed the brakes. For a moment, no one moved. Then, the figure took a step forward. Emily screamed. Jake hit the gas, but the car wouldn't start. The figure took another step, then another, and another. Desperate, Ben grabbed his phone to record, but the screen was just static. The last thing they heard before everything went black was a whisper, the same one Mark had heard. "Leave." When they woke up, they were back at the Baim cabin. Everything looked the same, except their car was gone. Their phones were missing. It was like they had never even tried to leave. A realization hit them. They were trapped, and they were not alone.